Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to call to order the June 18th, 2026 meeting of the Knoxville Historic Zoning Commission. This meeting is being recorded, so please remember to speak clearly and directly into the microphone. We'll now call the roll.
Good morning. For the record, the Knox County Historic Zoning Commission has no business and will not meet this month. So for the city of Knoxville, Commissioner Blackburn is excused. Commissioner Bradley?
Here.
Commissioner Hearns is running late apparently. Commissioner Kessler?
Here.
Commissioner Kloss?
Here.
Commissioner Midas is excused. Commissioner Mitchell?
Here.
Commissioner Randazzo?
Here.
Commissioner Tillman?
Here.
That's 6 present, sir.
Thank you. We'll now swear in the speakers. If you plan to speak on any matter before the commission, would you please stand now and reply with "I do" to the following affirmation. I solemnly affirm that the testimony I'm about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. All speakers are asked to limit their remarks to 5 minutes. Speakers must begin their remarks by stating their name and address for the record, as well as sign in at the podium. Appeals of any decision made by this commission must be made to Chancery Court within 60 days of the date of the decision. We'll now have the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the level 1 staff reports.
We have one level 1 COA issued for the June meeting at 320 East Scott Avenue. The applicant applied for repair of the existing wood windows and sills as necessary, repair of the existing wood lap siding with in-kind replacement of the deteriorated sections as necessary.
All right, we'll move to our certificate of appropriateness and staff reports. We are in Old North Knoxville first with 111 Harvey Street.
So this application is for the removal of 5 original 2/2 double hung wood windows on the facade and side elevations, and the installation of 5 new 2/2 double hung wood windows. So the applicant submitted deterioration primarily of wood rot on the interior of the windows. The windows that are submitted meet the design guidelines as they're the overall size, materials, pane division, and muntin depth, width, and profile as the original. They retain the same size of the opening, and the exterior window trim will remain. The proposed windows will be indistinguishable from the original windows that will be retained. The proposed windows have simulated divided lights that have both interior and exterior muntins with a spacer bar. These have been approved in Old North and do replicate the true divided light windows. So staff's recommending approval of 6026 HC as submitted.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
I do not believe so.
No. Do we have any neighborhood input on this item?
No.
Nothing. All right. Any members of the public that want to speak on this item? All right. We'll open the floor to commission discussion.
I move the application be approved according to staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Next, we will go to Edgewood Park City, 1705 Jefferson Avenue.
Okay, so this is an after-the-fact review of removal of the historic windows and the installation of new windows. So some windows were installed without permits. The application does include a new window replacement proposal. So the windows were installed as vinyl with grids between the glass in varying sizes in at least 6 locations. They are not the original size, and they all have a flat square wood trim that differs from the original headers, trim, and sills. And then there's wood siding installed surrounding the new windows with an exposure pattern that's slightly different from the adjacent with the siding. So the application includes a revised window replacement proposal. They are the Anderson 100 Series Fibrex composite. They're simulated divided light, also with the spacer bar between the glass, 3/1 single hung. And so we can discuss these through the findings, but on the photos, the original window layout is laid out in the staff report. On the facade, you can see there was a pair of 3/1 double hung wood windows on the left bay and one window on the right bay. On the right side, the original windows were 4 bays. On the left side, the original configuration had 5 bays. These are all 3/1 double hung wood windows. And then on the rear elevation, there were 3 bays that included 3/1 double hung wood windows. There's also some after the fact review of the porch work. So if we go back, these are photos from Google Street View and Pictometry. Originally, there were tapered wood piers on brick posts on the front porch and the porte-cochere, and they were removed and replaced with square 8x8 wood posts that extend from the extend to the porch floor or the ground level. And then this also includes the removal of the chimney, which was demolished by March 2026, and you can see it in the February 2024 aerial photography. So just to talk through some of the comments as we look through the images, the work being reviewed is largely after the fact. After being notified of zoning and building requirements, the applicant did immediately cease work and reach out to planning staff. The majority of the windows were 3/1 double hung wood windows with the exterior trim you can see in your application packet. Several of the original window openings have been infilled with fewer or smaller windows than the originals. That includes the left bay of the facade, which you can see on the screen right now. That had paired windows, now it is 1. And then there are at least a couple on the side elevation as well. So reducing or closing in original openings isn't supported by the guidelines. The final selected replacement windows should reflect the original window sizes, and the window openings should be restored. Any paired windows that have been replaced with 1 should be replaced with 2. So the applicant does not intend to use the windows that are currently installed, the vinyl windows. The application includes revised specs for 3/1 Fibrex, which are composite windows. The guidelines do support alternative materials for replacement windows as long as they match the size, muntin, and style of the original windows, and that they're properly recessed, which the vinyl do not achieve. So the application includes 36 by 60 windows, which is a standard size, and it may be wider and shorter than the original windows that were removed. Fibrex has been approved on a contributing structure in the neighborhood, and they may be appropriate within the new guidelines, but the final windows should reflect the overall size and arrangement of the originals. And there's some photos of that exterior window trim, some of the existing windows that remain. The flat window trim does not match the original, so window trim reflecting the original should be installed on all elevations. The wood siding that was used to infill the window openings doesn't entirely align with the existing. This can be mitigated when the accurate windows are reinstalled. Any new siding should reflect the exposure and pattern of the existing. And then returning to the porch elements, you can see here, they were originally supported by tapered wood posts on brick piers. The porch supports were removed between February 2024 and 26 based on aerial photography. Guidelines recommend retaining these original porch components. They should be reinstalled. They could be wrapped around the existing posts if the design and materials are retained and replicated. And then the chimney, which you can see on the left photo here, that was also removed between February 24 and 26. The exterior chimney is visible on the right side elevation below the porte-cochere roof, and it's clad in stucco. Based on the Google Street View, it was relatively small, approximately 18 courses of brick. It may not be a character-defining feature, but the exterior chimney does remain, and the guidelines recommend retaining and reconstructing original chimneys. So the staff recommendation is long. And so staff's recommending approval of the Fibrex window material, subject to the final window specs reflecting the overall size, number, and arrangement of the originals. The existing window flat window trim to be removed and the wood trim to replicate the original. Staff is recommending after the fact approval of repair and replacement to the wood soffit, fascia, and rafter tails, and approval of wood siding repair and replacement in kind, subject to the condition that all new siding reflect the exposure and installation pattern of the existing. And staff recommends approval of porch repair with tapered wood posts and brick piers to reflect the original design to be reinstalled, and then after the fact denial of the chimney removal and installation of a brick chimney above the roof line.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Do you have anything to add?
Oh, yes. My name is Mohammed Arad. I'm with 1705 Jefferson Avenue. I'm the executor of the estate. My mother died many years ago. We've had this home for 30 years. I don't really have a whole lot of questions in reference to the actual windows. It's pretty straightforward. We replaced it with the wrong ones. We need to put the right ones in and match the siding, obviously. I do have some questions about the porch. We've been doing work on this house over the last 30 years. That porch work is not new. If you go back to the original Google photo of the porch and you look at if you look at those steps on the porch, they were a hazard waiting to happen. And so I was worried the mailman was going to walk up there, trip, and sue me, essentially. That's why we redid the steps, put the post or the handle there and whatnot. But that was done probably a couple of years, maybe a year and a half ago, around 2 years ago. I don't know exactly. That's the main thing I would have some questions about. And I can talk to planning about that later as far as exactly what they want me to do on the porch setup. But everything else was pretty straightforward.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any neighborhood input on this item? No. No? Okay. Any members of the public that wanted to speak on this item? All right. We'll open the floor to commission discussion or questions.
I just had a quick question about this.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, about the stairs. You said it was already, you said it was already done. I'm looking at the old Google photo. And I can see it may have been some wood at the top, but was it concrete?
No, it was wood then and it's wood now. It's just, if you look, there's no handle. But what you can't see in that photo is there's bowing wood planks on that porch or on those porch steps. And it was a major hazard. And we literally did that just out of worry that the mailman would trip and fall.
Okay, let me ask you. So I see the wood part, but I see blue going across. Is that concrete?
Oh, no, all that's wood.
You had just painted it blue.
No, that they had, I think that might have been original, yeah. Wait, okay, are you talking about just the sides of it?
Right there in front, the facing of it. That looks like it's concrete.
Yeah, this is concrete. This is how it was when we first bought it,
And
but
then
this
it-
is wood.
Just at the top, though.
No, so it's the whole thing.
Okay.
Actually, it's brick through here, and then it's a concrete slab on the top, I believe.
Okay.
I'd just clarify that the primary conversation in the staff recommendation is we have a little bit less concern about repairs and that kind of stuff. We can discuss this afterwards as well. But the staff recommendation in particular is speaking to the work on the porch supports. So where you see on the Google Street View and then the pictometry that was in February that has these brick piers here and then the wood posts that we're discussing as well.
Okay,
That were replaced with that.
I see, okay.
So the supports,
Yeah, those.
more than the flooring and the steps.
So this existing supports would stay, but they could put the brick back around it, and then the columns would go over those supports, correct?
Could be, yeah.
We've seen
Okay.
people
We've
do
seen plenty of people replicate that craftsman look with a load-bearing 6x6, and then they just do, apply wood to make that tapered look. There's a couple different ways to do that could utilize. That doesn't mean shoring up the existing porch again. But I think what staff and I think most commission would agree that those brick pedestals are a character defining feature of this porch. and that's important to be retained, and that's reflected in the staff recommendation.
I see.
And
Okay.
it's possible that you made repairs to the stair treads in the past and nobody noticed. And, we would call that, like the industry term, a pre-existing non-conforming. Doesn't mean it was totally allowed, but it's not really what's at issue here today. And that's the columns, the windows, the chimney.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I just was throwing it out there that we only did windows on this situation that had occurred, but we can rectify that as well.
Okay.
We can do the brick thing. I'll just have to get specifics.
Sure, thank you. I had a question for our permit office, Mark. I've discussed this with staff here already. If I'm looking at this application, and say we were to approve it per staff recommendations, these 4 points, and we were to hand this to a city inspector, do they have enough information to be able to do a site inspection? And because the way I would imagine right now is they'd have to read all of this to understand exactly what needs to be performed. And I think the documentation is a little bit lacking for a permitting situation, but I'm curious what your opinion is on that.
Yeah, typically we'll look at the report that gets issued with the COA, and then every morning, if there's any COA inspections, I highlight everything that needs to be done, talk about it with the inspector. If they have any questions, they do try to reach out to planning staff, but either before or after the inspection, before they result that inspection. So,
Because I'm looking at this like it's, arrangement of original windows. We don't really know what the arrangement is. I think we have a pretty good idea. We have the cutouts for the siding, which is probably the original openings, including the casing. But again, it feels like we're putting too much of a burden on that site inspector to say, yeah, that's the arrangement of the originals, looking through a bunch of city staff photos.
yeah, I think they would have to look at they would have to look at elevations that were somewhat approved by planning or by you guys to know what exactly they were looking at. Otherwise, they're just trying to look at Google Street View or something like
Yeah,
that.
it feels like a can of worms, frankly.
Sure.
So what my opinion would be, so we have site photos and it's city staff photos, which is usually what happens when we have an after the fact review. I would like you, the applicant, and this is just my opinion, we haven't voted on this, to either present your own photos or you can even annotate these with, and we've, I think Lindsay said she's shared like examples of elevations that the city planning website has and, application checklist and even include dimensions. We get a variety of applications and we get architectural packets with historic renderings and we get people drawing on, we can say napkins. We try to be accommodating to various skill sets, experiences, and, AutoCAD skills. But I think we need a little more from you showing that this is the plan. It sounds like, again, and I was asking staff about this earlier this week, that you and staff have a good understanding of expectations and what needs to be done. But I think we need more from a documentation perspective to be able to say, yes, it's approved. Like looking at that window there, I can see, I think I know what the casing and window size needs to be.
Yeah.
But I don't want an inspector in the field trying to read through 3 pages of description from staff, trying to figure out what we were supposed to be doing.
No, I understand that. All right, I'll get to work. I'm actually talking to some, professional window companies that deal with historic stuff, so that way maybe can smooth this process a little bit and get it fixed, basically.
And we can share the contact information for the neighborhood rep who can also help, and show you examples of
That'd be excellent.
These are elevations that applicants have submitted when they're changing out windows, and it really is, sometimes it's just like a red pen on a photo and dimensions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. They made me aware they're very accommodating. And they have been through the whole process.
But again, that's my opinion on what I think is needed. I'm curious what other commissioners think.
So just to clarify, you're you haven't formally proposed anything, but essentially it would be a proposal to postpone pending clarifying documentation.
I think so.
I mean, I think that seems reasonable if this were my house. Well, I mean, I'd already have that modeled in Revit, and I'd just like note it up and dimension it. But because I wouldn't want to have to take that novel of an approval and have to be out in the field measuring, and do we think this is the same size? And I think that seems reasonable.
It's a shame to delay a project, but if you look through this packet, it's all of the information is provided by staff. And like, we can look through this checklist here, and it's things to be provided by applicant. It's detailed description of proposed work, photographs of existing conditions, sketches, illustrations, manufacturer specifications of proposed materials. There's a lot of things that we want to see from your end as like, this is what I'm going to do, you know?
I understand.
More than just like a handshake, you know?
No, I get that. In reference to adding, if I were to add siding work to it, essentially we found that the siding has many holes in it, and we're just looking, all right, we're just going to replace the whole siding. I'm asking, can I tag that on to the next thing too? Yeah, all right,
If your application were postponed, you could include
pretty much.
additional scopes of work.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, yeah, what Commissioner Bradley and I were discussing was a postponement, so you could provide more documentation, and you have the freedom to change that scope of work if you wanted.
Sure.
You could
Okay.
add to it, you could remove, you could argue different points if you felt you wanted to.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I will clarify on the post situation later on with planning, but I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you
so much.
I have one additional comment, and also thank you for doing the work on this house. I mean, the block has changed tremendously, and the improvements will go a long way. It's not mentioned in the staff reports, but the stucco is new on the brick, and there's concerns with the guidelines don't allow for putting stucco over the brick. I am also concerned that taking the stucco off the brick would cause more damage. But
and this is another screw up of mine. I guess I should have checked about the stucco, but the bricks were already had damage through them. I mean, it's a literally 1920 house, and those windows were original. The brick was original. Any case, but yeah, some leniency on that part would be great.
yeah, I don't want to make things harder. I was just thinking about when you put brick around the columns, how that's going to tie into the stucco, and want to make it clear not to stucco over the brick columns.
Oh, okay, yes.
That would be
yes.
like worst case scenario.
Okay,
So,
no problem at all. No problem at all.
Thank you.
So I will make a motion to postpone for 30 days pending documentation for further clarity.
Seconded.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll get with you with additional details.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our last case, the Scenic Drive District, 720 Scenic Drive.
So this is a new circular driveway in the front yard. The driveway extends south from an existing driveway and wraps around the front yard. It's approximately 13 feet wide, and it's set 8 feet 6 inches from the house's facade at the closest point. So the property currently features an approximately 15 feet wide driveway on the north side of the property, the left side of the house. It extends approximately 110 feet along the left side of the house to an existing garage. City inspectors visited the site in early May after gravel was poured in the front yard to prepare for the circular driveway without a permit. So you can see the photos here and here. And that was without a permit or a COA. So the design guidelines state that parking pads and circular driveways should not be placed in the front yard except in extraordinary cases where a driveway to the rear of a property is impractical or unsafe. Just as context, circular driveways have been approved in Scenic Drive when they're primarily not visible from the street. There is already a driveway and sufficient parking, and the property is relatively flat, so the driveway is not impractical or unsafe. Placing a new circular driveway in front of the house will result in the majority of the front yard used as parking, which detracts from the line in the design guidelines that emphasizes the lawns, plantings, and semi-wooded areas that are essential to maintaining the overlay. The new circular driveway will be close to Scenic Drive and very visible from the street, and it does not meet the design guidelines, so staff's recommending denial of certificate 6E26HC.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
I am. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate.
Can you say your name and address for the record?
Absolutely. I was almost there. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're great. You're great. My name's Allison Peak. I am a 15-year Sequoia resident. I currently live in a home that is 102 years old and where Alex Haley wrote Roots. It is a very special place to us, and we not only renovated it and brought it up to, or brought it back to its glory, I guess would be the best way to put it, but did our other home in Sequoia Hills as well. I spent 7 years on the Kingston Pike Sequoia Hills Neighborhood Association, helping restore Panther Fountain, working with Melinda Ethier on beautification measures, historic preservation, as well as bringing these old, beautiful, amazing homes back to life is a passion of mine. It's not what I do for work every day. I work in the medical technology space, and so this is a creative outlet for me and a passion to ensure that our homes in our neighborhood in Sequoia Hills are really brought back to what I believe is beautiful and historic and preserved, and not modern farm homes with black windows. So I want to start by saying we have done that in every facet. My children attended Sequoia Elementary. I have a child still there. They also attended SHEEP, which is Sequoia Hills Early Education Program. We have spent our pastimes walking and enjoying the neighborhood, and we do it every day. So this is not just something that we are doing. This is a place where I live and is very near and dear to my heart. As far as moving forward, and I want to start by saying the proposed driveway is not by any means a convenience effort or it's a safety measure. So I don't know. I know that you said there was adequate parking in the back there, and I have videos and pictures that I'm happy to share as well. But if you access the small driveway that's to the side, so you guys can see it if you're looking at it to the left of the photograph, it's a narrow driveway that moves into a space where there is 12 feet between the back door step and the entrance to the garage, 12 feet. It's not enough room to be able to turn around by any means. The reason, and forgive us, because our real estate agent did not inform us. Actually, they informed us that the home next door was involved in the, hold on 1 second, the Scenic Drive historic overlay. I have this as well printed, but that our home was not. So that is the reason why a permit was not pulled prior to the gravel. And the gravel was not, we did not intend on, it was sincerely for the safety of, the people that were working to try and build this house. Bring the house back to, it had been severely neglected. And it's got amazing bones. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful place, but it just has not been touched in 50 to 60 years. Hence the overgrowth of vegetation, the dead vegetation. It was in pretty bad shape when we took possession of it. But if you look to the side, there's not enough room in the back of the home to be able to turn around. And there's a hedge a privacy hedge, if you can see, and I've got pictures as well, on this left-hand side that belongs to the neighbors, and they are not willing to let that hedge go. And I've got a video as well of backing out of the property, and there's no way to see. So there's a stop sign at Kenilworth and Scenic, and there were recently speed humps. And if whoever wants to see the video, I'm happy to show it to you guys. But there are speed humps they call them speed cushions that have been installed as well, that are right outside here. So there has been a stop sign that's been installed, but even law enforcement has set at Kenilworth and sits there, or tries to, because people regularly run this stop sign because it has been installed like within the past few years. But Scenic is a collector roadway. It's a main thoroughway into the neighborhood, and it's even notated within the Historic Zoning Commission guidelines that it is the entrance to the neighborhood. So Scenic is considered the official entrance to the neighborhood, not Cherokee Boulevard. So I think that part of it. It also has a sidewalk that's right across the street that somebody that is backing out of this driveway, I mean, you cannot, there's no visibility whatsoever until you're into the road to be able to see what is coming from the upper end Kingston Pike side of this driveway. And for Knox, the city of Knoxville, and I pulled up the current engineering and development services division. Anytime when parking is accessed from streets other than a local street or alley must be designated so that no vehicle is required to back into the street. So there's not enough room in the back of the only way to create a parking pad in the back of the home would be to demolish the garage that is currently back there and build a parking pad there, which we really don't want to do. Because it's the last thing we want to do is tear something down that was here with the home. The other piece, and there's no way without tearing down the sunroom that's built onto the back of the house. And I have pictures of that as well if we were to extend the parking pad. So for safety reasons, and I also have lots of data if you guys want to look at it from the Federal Highway Transportation Commission, the Federal Highway Administration, that backing into main veins and thoroughways is not only extremely dangerous, but it's dangerous to oncoming traffic, it's dangerous to pedestrians. And if you guys have a recommendation that would cause us to not have to back into Scenic, I think we're open to suggestions, but there's not another option to try and maintain the beauty and historic nature of this home without having to tear down what's there. And that's not our intent at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
The worst part of my job is limiting people to
Please
the
do.
5-minute mark.
Do it. You're
the
good.
second worst is interrupting them to
You're
ask them for
good.
their name
You're
and
so good.
address, which I have to do every week, unfortunately, or every
You're
month.
great.
Thank you for that. Is there any neighborhood input for this project?
So the Scenic Drive neighborhood representative of the overlay said, "I appreciate the efforts of the team managing the home and remodel. We are not concerned about what's being done to the inside so much as the original character and charm of the home when it was designed and built. The overlay requests that the maximum lot coverage for the home and outlying buildings be no more than 30% of the lot, and pavement in the front or sides of the home to be minimized so that the landscaping and planting convey the impression of a residential setting. The maximum desirable lot coverage includes the structure, outlying buildings, driveway, pool, patio, and that would be no more than 50. That's in the design guidelines. This home has a 2-car garage setback plus room behind the home for other cars that might be downloading groceries. In our view, there is no need for a half-circle driveway in the front yard. We live in a 100-year-old neighborhood, not Riverbend or Farragut. While these might be desired in those neighborhoods, that is not the character of this 100-year-old subdivision. Some half-circle drives do exist on Scenic, but the lots are much larger than this one. Replacing the now non-existent front yard with a walkway, grass, and appropriate native plantings native to the south would be in keeping with how the home originally would have looked. A look we are striving to maintain and nurture for the generations to come.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other members of the public that wanted to speak on this item here or on Zoom? Okay, we'll open the floor to commission discussion.
So is there no way if you go up the driveway, you could go into the garage and then back into that little outcropping of the pad? Like if you use the garage as a place to kind of stage and you go in and then you go out, is that?
I mean, it is so very narrow, and if you want to pull up, I saw that they had the site plan. If you want to pull it up with the drawing, that may be but you can see, well, I mean, if you want to go back to that, I'm happy to show you the video, but if you can see, go back to, it may be easier to see the other photograph, the one that shows, so if you look at where the existing driveway is, the back patio stairs, like as you can see so this is garden right here. So there's like a cute little pathway where we've got a white picket fence that will eventually be restored. But it was here where it goes.
Just for the public record, we can hear you, but the mic can't pick you up. For all the people watching on the internet right now.
No problem. So if you want to take a look at where it goes, or you can see where the fence goes from the back door of the home where that sunroom is, and that's where you can see what's jutting out right there there's less, I mean, it's 12 to 13 feet, and that's not counting for the steps that come out of that back door. I mean, it's narrow. And for anyone that has, if your car is 5 to 6 feet wide, there's zero room to turn around, even utilizing the garage to be able to turn to go forward facing onto Scenic Drive. That's the entire reason why gravel was poured in the front yard, because there was no safe way to be able to access Scenic by moving in and out of the driveway. And anyone that wants to come out and take a look at it and measure, like I said, I have the video of backing out. And we've talked to the neighbors, but even removing the hedging, which would help a little bit with visibility, I mean, it still doesn't remove the need to have to back onto Scenic Drive.
I'm a little curious about the permitting status. I'm going to ask Mark again. So is there a permit for the interior work currently?
So based on our records, there hasn't been a permit pulled on this property since '96.
Okay.
And I will say that a zoning inspector went out May 5th, May 8th, I believe, something like that, and noticed that there was work ongoing, sent an email to planning staff, let them know that there was things going on. They then submitted for this application, but there has not been a plans review applied for. There hasn't been a permit applied for. City engineering hasn't reviewed this to make sure that it's functional and safe, in which they'll check site distances and things like that. So there's been no review officially of this project or this site plan.
Is there any stop work order for any other?
I believe engineering inspector went out in May, and I believe they issued a stop work order. I don't have their
don't have a
records.
stop work order. But at this point on the interior, all of the dumpsters and things that you see have been to remove the exterior dead vegetation.
Landscaping, okay. I feel like I should know the answer to this, but I feel the need to ask. Anyone who knows, feel free to chime in. With this kind of like driveway project where we're reviewing safety, I think we're reviewing two things, impractical and unsafe, in comment number 3. With safety on a job site, safety is everybody's job, but safety in this specific instance seems more of an engineering department. Do they ever or can they issue opinions on the safety before we do a COA, or is it always going to be after us?
So if somebody submits for a plans review, engineering can look at the plans and make sure that they're appropriate, but the permit won't be issued until a COA is issued. And so, yes, they can make sure that it's feasible before it gets to you guys, before you vote on it and provide a COA.
Would they be reviewing the feasibility of the driveway circle, or would they be
Yes.
reviewing the feasibility and safety of, or just the safety of the existing conditions? Because that's really what's at question here, right?
So they'll look at both. They'll make sure that whatever's proposed is functional and safe, and then whatever is existing, if there's ongoing work and they need to be able to pull a bigger truck in to work on something, they'll look at that as well. But typically, there's not work being done until there's a permit pulled and they've already reviewed it. So typically, there's a construction path forward as far as moving trucks around and things like that.
Yeah, they're called pre-submittal conferences. Anytime we have anything that looks tricky, we get whatever drawings and documentation we have, and we go talk to Peter Herons and a group of whoever he chooses on, like, does the fire marshal need to be involved, or city engineering? I mean, because you have a lot of issues too with, let's just say we all agree that it's very unsafe to back out into scenic and all this stuff. I mean, you can't have gravel. I mean, that's a stormwater nightmare too.
Oh,
So,
we would not put in a driveway and we don't plan to leave gravel there as well. I mean, it will, yeah. But we did not want to move forward with anything, and obviously wouldn't until we started moving forward with the plans on the ends. I mean, it would be a lot along with the replanting of the trees, the landscaping, like all that happens, towards the end of the project. But at this point, we're just trying to get it cleaned out.
Have you completed a survey of the project, of the site, like a engineered
You're saying, have we
survey?
had a survey done since purchasing it? Not yet.
Okay, I would think engineering would require that as part of their application to be able to see. We're talking, hey, you got 12 or 13 feet. Like engineering wants the exact dimension in like those critical areas.
Sure.
yeah, a surveyor or a civil engineer, I mean, because I feel like this could benefit a great deal from further documentation. They can even show you, like, they'll take the degrees of the angle, and they can give you, like, this is how a vehicle of this size would navigate this space. You might find that you have tweaks with that current design that's circular, that it needs to be a little different, but
And I think we're open to any of that. The key is just making this a situation where a person that is walking, whoever is living in this home, is not having to hold their breath every time. And I mean, I know I hold my breath every time I back out of this driveway
I feel
because of
like
what's coming over that hill as well.
I feel like what we need is to amass more documentation. I mean, it sounds like you've got videos and films, and we've had videos of deteriorated windows shown before this commission. So it sounds like maybe if we did a postponement, that would give you time to get a civil engineer or a surveyor on board to maybe do a diagram of the turnaround needed, like to be able to demonstrate that this driveway and this pad is too small to be able to get in a car and then turn and, go out full facing, and you've got Department of Transportation documentation. I just feel like it needs to be put together
and the city
so
of
we can
Knoxville
see
as
it.
well. Yes, that their guidelines state that no parking. You should not have to back into any road without being able to turn around.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a question about that. I live in a neighborhood where everyone backs out into the road and people are flying down. And, so two questions. One, can you maybe give some context for what she's referring to? And then two, do we know the last time this road had a traffic calming study done?
Recently,
So
because
the
that
tr-
was a part of it.
Yeah,
But
the
yes.
traffic calming study is a different department. I wouldn't have any idea on that one. And then your other question was more of an engineering question, but there is an ordinance. I mean, in the zoning code, it does state that you're not allowed to back into a right of way. However, engineering does look at, is it an older neighborhood? Has it been an existing condition within this neighborhood? Is it a busy road? Is it a local road? Things like that. And I will say, engineering would review this. They will review this when it comes in for permitting. A circular driveway isn't necessarily required. I mean, you can apply for one if it's functional and safe. If there was issues with backing into the public right of way, there are other options like a branch type turnaround in which you would back into like a box and then turn around and safely pull out into the public right of way. So there's other options. Like I said, the engineering hasn't reviewed this. It may meet zoning code, it may not. It's something that we would have to review and evaluate.
And we're open to it's not that we're not open to the turnaround, it's just not beautiful.
I have a question.
To put a big, parking pad turnaround in the front yard to back into to be able to turn onto scenic. It's definitely, it's a safe option and it is an option. It just doesn't go along with trying to make it beautiful to where you could line this driveway with beautiful boxwoods and, tie it into a sidewalk. Like it would be more of a functional, which if that's what we have to do to be able to do that, then understood. But it's more of a functional solution versus a beautiful solution that will make the house in the neighborhood. I would feel like proud in that situation.
Sorry. I have a quick question for Lindsay. I noticed that the house right across the street and then one next to it both have circular driveways. Would they have come through the commission to do that?
No, most likely not. And I say that because this is a particular overlay where this overlay is a form and a shape that we would not support now in 2026 for an overlay. So when this was created, folks were allowed to just opt out. So it's basically they're missing teeth. So you might see, I know this one, I live in the neighborhood myself. This has a circular driveway. This one has a circular driveway, but these are properties that are out. Oops.
And then 28 beside 27 has one too.
And they are outside of the overlay. So we did review one recently that had a circular driveway and it was approved, but it was the property that's significantly high up on the hill and the additional front yard parking was not going to be visible from the street. So there are some, and then there are also some that may be pre-existing from when this overlay was created in 2006.
Lindsay, since you have that pulled up, will you zoom in on their property?
Yes. Which one is it?
Another thing engineering is going to review is it appears that there's a utility easement that's just north of the property. And so engineering is going to want to make sure that anything that goes in there is reviewed and approved and okay with the utility company.
That hedgerow may be in a utility easement.
Well, and it was so overgrown when it had to be trimmed back to even be able to utilize the driveway. And the next, at 39, which I understand is not in the historic overlay, they purposefully did build one of the rectangular turnaround pads like you guys are referring to, but it just doesn't look like it goes with the historic style of this home. So
I think the proper steps that we ought to take, this is, again, my opinion, is we get engineering review of this scope of work, the practicality and safety of existing conditions, a circular driveway, perhaps I think it's called a hammerhead is what that's called, when you back in and then go out another and it makes the shape of kind of a hammerhead.
And it also would, doing to your point, doing whatever the parking pad is, would cause us to have to take down this really beautiful, rooty, old magnolia that's in the front yard right now, which even when pouring the gravel, we moved, adjusted the plans for the circular driveway to be able to not have to demolish this magnolia that is healthy.
So that's a condition that I think is important for the neighborhood to review. So right now, we've got two neighborhood comments that were both against it. And so I think, in theory, engineering reviews it and gives their professional opinion on the safety. And then perhaps, again, this is my opinion, you could present both options from a aesthetic point of view, the turnaround versus a hammerhead in different locations for the neighborhood to review, and they could give opinions on both if you're okay with both. And I think that would be a better way to present that argument. We have to get past the safety hurdle that, again, my opinion, I don't think we can just figure out here. I don't even know if legally we can just say, yeah, put a curb cut there. Like historic zoning approves it. Like somehow that would get gummed up in the works. It feels like bad government to just pass the buck, but we have specialists who are highly trained that can help us out here, and we should.
That sounds great.
And I
Thank you
think
for
as
that.
far as neighborhood involvement, it would go really far to get, like, when you present the two options, to have plantings shown so that they can see that, you know, you're going to put these
There is a photograph, I
boxwoods
think, in the
in.
packet that shows like a rendering of the circular driveway with the boxwoods and vegetation that would be added. If not, I have one if you'd like to see it. But yes, we absolutely plan to make it beautiful.
Thank you.
I have another question. Is in a circular driveway, is parking allowed? Like, it's just temporary unloading, right? So this would only be for turning around.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's
there's no
not-
parking your vehicle overnight in it, and landscaping can obscure a lot. So
All right.
Well, low hedges, if you will. But yes, like a English boxwood. I mean, to me, if we're trying to,
ma'am, we're deliberating as a commission now.
Yeah, sorry. Any other commissioner comments, or are we?
No, but I think that was a great point. And I guess looking at that, when you talk with the neighborhood, is that if that makes any impact, understanding that it's not visible, if you will, at that point from loading and unloading.
And I also agree. I think that, like, with what the information we have today, to say something is like safe or unsafe, I don't know how we would approve or reject something at this point with the information that we have.
And I just think understanding the path forward for her so that she understands those steps, because it does seem like several things we were talking about, not only safety, but we're also talking about just the sheer, because it just seems odd, to your point earlier about how this neighborhood has ascertained what's historic and which parts are not. So it does seem a little confusing because you do have some that don't, some that do. So I can see where that becomes kind of murky. But again, I think these discussions are very important, that at least a path forward so she knows that.
And our staff will work with the applicants to make sure, we will basically take the site plan and discuss with city engineering staff, and then have additional information and connect you guys as needed too, so.
Great. Yeah, most of our districts don't look like a congressional district. That's it's just.
well, and going back to, it's only, a few houses that fall along scenic, as well as my home that is much older than this home does not fall in the historic overlay. And I feel like if anything, you would want our home preserved.
Are we ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion to postpone the application for 30 days to allow the applicant to bring more information.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion passes. Thank you, and meeting is adjourned.
Have a blessed day.
You too.